Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Killing Time, episode, I don't know which number it is, because it might come out before the other one.
It's in the hundreds.
Yeah, we're in the hundreds now, and if you notice, the Skype call looks amazing.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, we splice things so well, we look like we're in the same space.
Well, let's try to get that thing going where we get that. It looks almost like a high five. There it is. Okay, there's the high five. It looks almost real, doesn't it?
Yes, not bad.
All right, so it's all green screened. You can tell it's green screened. Actually, we should do that in the future. Maybe do green screen.
And then we could look like we're in the same place.
Why not?
I could do that.
We'll just put this as a layer in the front. Anyway, you don't care about that. This show is about finding entertainment that doesn't suck. And I'm IA. He's drinking a beer.
Juice Pop.
Juice Pop, otherwise known as the Florida Gator.
Yep. Yep.
Known as Just Bob.
Yeah.
Known as the original Hustler.
Yeah. Or Playa.
Mr. Playa here. Senor Playa. Mr. Beach. That's what we call him. We got Mr. Beach here, and today we're going to be talking about Civil War because we've seen it.
Yes.
And
we should talk about it.
Off the top,
we are looking for entertainment that does not suck, and I believe Civil War was entertainment that does not suck.
Exactly. Civil War, by definition, that movie did not suck. And we're not talking about something like Ken Burns' Civil War. We're talking about like Captain America Civil War.
Yes.
In case you were wondering, you're like,
yes.
Really? They're talking about the Civil War? The Civil War wasn't that entertaining, considering it was about agriculture.
Yeah.
And it was about agriculture. Read your history books.
Yes. And that one was a little different. That one did it did kind of suck.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the entertainment value in class. Yeah. But anyway, that's a whole other thing.
Moving on. Okay.
All right, Civil War. This is going to be spoiler-filled.
Yes, so if you haven't seen it, stop watching now.
Well, we could do the spoiler-free one real fast.
Okay, spoiler-free. Well done movie. Mm-hmm. Acting was good. Plot was tight. I was happy with the outcome, and I was interested in the characters. Shot beautifully like every Marvel movie is. It was a good watch.
I think there was a lot of work that went into this movie that showed you have so many different characters. You have two origin stories, sort of. Mm-hmm. Two new characters is what I mean, with Black Panther and Spider-Man. And it gets pulled off so well. Mm-hmm. And you care about the motivations of the characters. You have a reason to believe this. It's a little slow-paced in the beginning. I will say that.
Yes.
If you have... my son was watching the movie with us. Well, not with him. But he's almost 6 years old. And he says to me in the first hour, I thought we were watching Cap fight Iron Man. I'm like, yeah, but they have to set up the reason for that. So it does take its time. I don't think it's the best Captain America movie. I think Winter Soldier's still better than it. And I think that it's the best Avengers movie.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of Avengers in this. But... at the end of the day, it's still a Captain America movie. His motivations are the ones that matter. You're following him a lot more. Yeah, you see a lot of Tony Stark in it, but you get a lot of information as to why Cap is doing this, why he's not working directly with the Avengers, and it makes a lot of sense. I'm sure there's lots of plot holes, but it's a really good movie. Doesn't suck by any means. One of the better movies I think I've seen this year.
Yes, absolutely. Better. And like I said, I went in expecting it to kind of be trying too much with too many characters and get too much done, and somehow, like you said, they pull it off. So I was very impressed.
All right, at this point now, we'll go into spoilers. I need to hold up something so I remember. Oh, that's perfect. It'll be like the Batman show. Do-do-do-do-do. All right. Now is the spoiler time.
Yes.
Okay. So... we haven't talked about this movie much at all because we wanted to save it for the show.
No, we wanted to save it, so this will be the first time we're really talking about it.
All right, what do you think?
What do I think? What I was impressed with was I understood, and they made me understand everybody's motivations. Mm-hmm. And I could, where I do lean more towards one side than the other, I could underside the opposing point of view. Mm-hmm. I could understand where they were coming from and why they thought this and why they were fighting over this. The whole idea is that they have these accords that there needs to be government oversight, or actually UN oversight, for the Avengers. And I can see where Tony Stark feels guilty for a lot of the stuff that's happened and a lot of people that have died, so, that's why he wants to go one side, whereas Captain America has a lot of history with governments and dealing with the Nazis and everything like that, and why he wants to go a different way.
Yeah, that's a really big deal when it comes to Captain America's motivation, because why he doesn't side with Tony Stark, and why Tony Stark's feeling this guilt. Because the weird thing is, Tony Stark wasn't even on the mission where there's an event that happens in the movie where Scarlet Witch accidentally kills people.
Right.
So what happens is Crossbones is beating down Captain America, and then he sets off a bomb in himself. He's going to kill Captain America as a suicide bomber. So Scarlet Witch takes him with her magic powers and like throws him in a building, but it's an occupied building.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of people die. A lot of innocents die, and that creates a great catalyst for the rest of the movie of what's going to happen to these people, because they're superpowered people, but this just happened. So there's casualties there. So the Avengers is a private group.
Mm-hmm. There
is no government oversight at this point. And they've had, like, I think they show 4 incidents.
Yeah.
Basically, Avengers 1, Avengers 2.
Right.
The explosion. I can't remember the other one. But they did another. There was 4 events. That was enough, saying that there has to be some kind of control. Right. And Captain America's idea, like you said, with the whole idea of he's seen regime changes. He's seen maybe there's a time where we are not sent into action when we think it's best, and they say no. What if, like, essentially, like, what if we were being used as tools of oppression?
Right. Political pawns, being, we don't like these people, so we're going to send in the Avengers. He doesn't want to be under anybody's control. He just wants to be, I want to save the world if it needs to be saved.
Now, I'm firmly on Team Cap.
Me too.
I'm biased.
Me too. I'm very biased, and my issue also is, other than, Avengers 2, where it was their fault that, they created Ultron and he caused all this problem, that you can put directly towards the Avengers. It's all their fault. The other ones, yes, there's collateral damage, but think about how much collateral damage there would have been if they weren't there.
Yeah.
They're not the ones that caused the problem in the first place. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, some of the footage they showed the Hulk, right? So he is causing more damage. He's a little less...
Right.
What's the word? Delicate with things.
Yes.
Iron Man is not... Like, Iron Man will get thrown into stuff. He's not exploding things.
Yeah.
But the Hulk, just to move, is going to tear a building apart.
Right.
But that's the Hulk.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily the Avengers.
Yeah. I'm just saying that there's never even any discussion of how much destruction they saved by just being there. It's how much collateral was caused.
Yeah, but then again, like the military in general, when you have collateral damage, there is an oversight, and there's like committees about this kind of stuff.
Right.
And so a private body that's out there doing this kind of stuff, very different. And it's an intelligent storyline. And I will not compare it to Batman Superman until the very end of the show. I promise.
Correct.
Just 5 minutes of the show we will spend.
But you can't deny that there is some similar subject matter in the 2 movies.
And we'll get to that eventually. Yeah. But I really think that both sides have really great points. I want to just talk about Spider-Man real fast.
Okay.
Because
Spider-Man was awesome. Spider-Man was done the way I've always thought Spider-Man. And this movie made me realize how much I've always loved Spider-Man, and this movie made me love him even more. The character was done right. He was wisecracking. He was making jokes while he was fighting. He was acting like he was this wide-eyed kid just happy to be there. I mean, it was perfect. And visually, he looked perfect. Everything worked out really well.
The costume is great.
Yeah.
No question about that. Tom Holland, who's the actor playing Peter Parker, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so in the scene where we're introduced to him, Robert Downey Jr.'s character, Tony Stark, shows up to Queens because he's going to recruit somebody. It turns out to be Peter Parker because there's all these YouTube videos of a Spider-Man. Excuse me. And he's got a really makeshift costume in these YouTube videos because he's a kid who has powers.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have the resources to make that awesome costume from Spider-Man 1.
And it's going to make so much sense that that's how he got this awesome costume was from Tony Stark.
Yeah, so like Tony Stark is the guy who can make these things happen. So that makes a lot more sense. And the costume that you see in the trailer is one that Stark gives him. So that makes just logical sense. I love that bit of logic there because the original Spider-Man costume looks like garbage.
Yep.
It's like sweatshirts and goggles. And they explain that Spider-Man's... His senses are like on fire essentially, so he wears dark goggles to help deal with that. And I was watching somebody else's review, and they're talking about maybe the lenses on his actual mask from Stark, they get smaller because of that,
right?
Which makes sense. So it actually reacts to his body.
Right.
He was so unbelievably funny.
Yes.
And though he gets serious a couple of times during the recruitment scene.
Yep.
He gets very serious. He doesn't want Aunt May to know.
Right.
He wants to make sure that things are on the up and up. And like when he...
and he wants to fight to help the little guy, I think he says.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And they don't tell you the origin directly. He says that when you don't act, you cause that act, essentially.
Yeah.
So he's talking about the Uncle Ben thing without going like, here's the flashback.
Right.
Or May's not like sad about it either.
No. And the May thing is funny. It's Marissa Tomei, so it's probably the youngest, best-looking Aunt May we've had in any iteration of the movie, and Tony Stark makes comments about that.
Well, she's in her 50s.
Yeah.
So, she looks good for 50.
She does.
Because, I think the old one was 70, and then Sally Field was 60.
Yeah, so we're finally getting down to it.
It makes sense, though, to actually do that. So,
yeah.
And they work very well together. The chemistry is all there between all those actors.
Yes.
And Spider-Man, during the fight scenes, he moves like Spider-Man.
Yes.
He looks like Spider-Man.
And what people don't understand, which they really nail, is Spider-Man's really strong. And people tend to overlook this because of how acrobatic he is and whatnot, but they show it a couple times that he was able to stop punches from very strong guys and hold up, parts of, the airplane paraphernalia and things like that.
The airplane, we'll get to the airplane battle, but there was this just Spider-Man doing the jokes and just talking so much because, like you said, he's a wide-eyed kid and he's just, amazed to see all this stuff. It's like the most fun Spider-Man I think we've ever seen because he's so mopey in the Amazing Spider-Man line.
Right.
And he gets a little bit mopier in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Right.
But in this one, there's no moping. He's just
he's a kid who's fighting crime and happy to be helping out and trying to impress Tony Stark.
He's Spider-Man. It was perfect. It was so good. There's an end credit scene, a post credit scene where they tease some Spider-Man stuff where the little spider signal shows up.
Yep.
And it's just I want to watch that movie.
Yes.
Right now.
This movie made me really, really excited for Spider-Man.
So that's Spider-Man in a nutshell. He's fantastic in this thing.
Yes.
Or spectacular or amazing.
Or, he's had so many different names over the years.
He's really good in this one.
Yeah, very good. I'm very impressed and good addition. And, they didn't take out from the real plot to try and explain him or anything. They just kind of wove all that information into, the plot they were already trying to develop.
What about Black Panther? What did you think of him?
Black Panther, very interesting character, and I thought his motivations were obviously the most easily spelled out because of what happens, and I thought that actor, who's been in a lot of good movies before, did an amazing job. Even with the limited screen time he had and limited character development they were able to do, I was impressed with the way they were able to develop that character as well, just like Spider-Man, without taking away from the integral plot.
Yeah, so he's really important to the plot, essentially. So Black Panther, he is in the beginning of the movie, his father is one of the people trying to set up these accords of the UN. He's the king of Wakanda. His father's the king of Wakanda, and then the king is killed. Now Bucky is framed for the murder of the king, and so T'Challa's because that's Black Panther's name.
Yep.
He's I'm going to kill this man because he killed my father.
Right.
He doesn't know he's framed at this point, and it's completely clear.
Yep.
That's why he's going to kill him first. That was his plan.
Yeah.
But there is no explanation, a minor explanation of why he's got powers and he can do this stuff. There's he's just a Black Panther and he's coming after Bucky. Mm-hmm. And he gets in that costume and he's running around and there's no explanation about his training or why he's got the history of the Black Panthers in his head. But he can go.
But you know that he's somehow enhanced because he's keeping up with
Captain America.
Yeah, Captain America and the Winter Soldier, both who are enhanced themselves.
And it's done so well because you're not well, why? This is the 13th Marvel movie.
Right.
You're not well, how does this guy have powers? You're well, he has powers. And you're this guy's badass.
Right. And he's also very important to the Marvel Universe because of Wakanda and source of vibranium and the government. And it's a very important piece to the Marvel Universe, so it's important he's done right.
And those of you who are hearing this and you're wondering what that noise was, that's my dog, Tori. She's walking around. She's got her little collar and tags, so
mascot.
They rattle around.
Yeah.
So she's trying to figure out what's going on. But yeah, so Black Panther was really good. Spider-Man was awesome. What do you think of Zemo as the bad guy? He's the bad guy. He causes this whole thing to happen.
I think it's interesting, and he's not super powered or anything like that. He's mostly uses his brain and all his knowledge of the past and things that have gone on to try and pretty much set up an inner fight in the Avengers. Because of his motivation is his family died in the tragedy that happened in Avengers 2.
Yeah, that's pretty much very simple. Yep. And he's listened to it. There is some... You understand his motivation because he listens on the phone to the last voicemail he got from his wife talking about his child, missed him at a thing. And, you feel for him. You're that feels bad.
And he's not this larger-than-life bad guy, which I like. He's just trying to get his vengeance, which is, what a lot of people are trying to do. And, it actually works out, that there's no huge bad guy in this. It's just he causes this inner strife that causes this infighting and we find out some interesting information about the Winter Soldier and Tony Stark being the ones who killed Tony Stark's parents, and then even that part I understand. Captain America, their biggest fight is because Iron Man finds out that Winter Soldier killed his parents and flips out and he wants to kill the Winter Soldier, and Captain America obviously wants to protect his friend. You understand both motivations. You killed my family, I'm going to kill you. And Captain America, you're not killing my friend, so we're going to fight.
And not only that, but in the beginning of the movie, they actually set up the scene, this flashback sort of thing, because they do it's a presentation. It's essentially a flashback. It's Tony Stark on the last day of being with his family, of his parents. And it's like this fictional account of how it went, and it was very nice. And they're all like, I love you, it's good to see you, and like, get safe. But that's not the way it really happened. There was some kind of infight, probably. He wasn't very good with his father. Then his parents die on the way to the airport. Turns out that Bucky had killed them, or Winter Soldier did, because not really Bucky at this point.
Right, he wasn't in control.
Where Bucky's not in control of himself, and that's another plot point. But they set that up at the beginning of the movie, that you see the regret that Tony Stark has, and he even talks about it with Cap, saying, I hated you as a kid, because my father would talk about you. And he keeps building it up. And so by the end, when they finally make this about the death of his parents, because originally they're fighting about capturing Bucky, because Bucky is thought to be the UN bomber, actually not the UN bomber. So for the Accords, everyone shows up to one location, which is always a bad idea. They're all going to sign it, and so of course somebody blows up the building, killing T'Challa's father.
Right.
So it's all clearly spelled out. It's so smart. To the very end, when they finally reveal this, which you kind of saw coming. I will say. It wasn't like, well, that was a major surprise,
no, you knew it was coming, and you knew the big fight, and, Captain America wins. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
I mean, he does.
Now, in all fairness, I enjoyed that. I think somebody said if this was called Iron Man Civil War, Iron Man should have won this.
Right.
But Cap, he showed the never say die thing again.
Yes.
And I really love that part of his character.
I could do this all day. Yeah.
Which was a callback to the first movie.
Callback to the first one when he was just a skinny little punk getting beat up in the alleyway. Yeah.
I can do this all day, and I really like that because he's outmatched. But they also show that these characters care about each other because they're not trying to kill each other.
Yes. Actually, there's a really good line when Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch are fighting, and we're still friends, right?
Yeah, we're still friends. Depends on how hard you hit me.
Yeah. I mean,
it was, and they were on opposite sides.
Yeah, and they understood. I mean, they were fighting, and also when Vision accidentally shoots
War Machine,
and War Machine goes down, and everybody's upset. It's not just one side saying,
everyone's upset about this.
Everybody's upset. They didn't want any of this, and they keep pushing that through the whole movie. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do this. But we feel like we have to.
Essentially, what's going to happen... So Cap's team is trying to incapacitate the other team just so they can go and find the other 5 Winter Soldiers.
Which they think are going to be activated.
Right. That was the point. So that's the worrisome aspect. So that's why... And Cap is trying to save Bucky from being arrested because he knows in his heart at this point, not in the beginning, he doesn't know for sure. He figures out that Bucky's framed.
Right.
And then he's like, we got to go save him. But according to the Iron Man side, they're like, no, Bucky's the guy. We have a photo of him.
Right.
He's the guy. We got to take him out. So if Cap, you're protecting him, we have to take you out. Makes a lot of sense. So they try to incapacitate Cap's team to take Bucky in. So they're not trying to kill anybody. There's no intent to be like, you wronged me until the end. The end is where you see Iron Man go after Bucky. He's going to kill Bucky.
Right. And for good reason. He finds out he killed his parents.
Yeah. So
I mean, kind of brutal. He got him in the car accident. Clobbers his father and then wrings the neck of his mother. I mean, that's
he chokes out the
brutal.
mom. But he with his metal arm, he just punches his face. Tony Stark's father, Howard Stark's face.
And it's
just brutal. Boom, boom, boom. Although there's no deformation of his face. You notice that?
Yeah. Well, that was probably PG-13 rating.
Yeah.
They probably couldn't push it.
Broke his nose.
Couldn't push it too far.
But yeah.
But it was brutal, and I could see I'd flip out too. Somebody killed my parents.
And it was a great reveal, and Zemo is behind all of this bulletproof glass, so he's protected, and he's shot and killed all of the Winter Soldiers.
Yeah.
The other soldiers, which I think was a neat idea.
The fact that he didn't care. He was just doing this to try and get them to fight each other.
Yeah, because the idea was that Zemo is going to activate the soldiers, and now they can be these weapons of destruction, and they're amazing at this.
Nope. And his motivation made sense. I knew I couldn't kill you guys, but I knew you could kill each other.
But when it came down to Cap and Iron Man fighting, Cap wasn't trying to kill Iron Man.
No.
he's like, I gotta knock you out.
Right.
Same thing with Iron Man with Cap. Because look, in all fairness, if Iron Man wanted to, he could evaporate both men.
Right.
Like just one arc blast with one reactor, or one of these like what are they called? Begins with an R. Repulsor rays. Just hits that once, they're dead.
But not if he's got the shield, which deflects it, which happens.
In some respects, but I'm saying like he could also kill his legs.
Yeah.
That's another thing. A lot of strategy by Tony Stark. I loved that.
Very interesting. But then the interesting thing is, if people know Captain America, you know that he knows every fighting style and is constantly learning new things.
Yeah.
So he's hard to pin down.
But he could go to his normal C. He can have his favorites, like this is easier to do, but he will adjust based on what's happening.
And that's what happened.
Yeah, so it was
a great fight scene.
It was a really good fight scene. They were evenly matched,
Yes.
But the idea is, look, it's Captain America's movie. He should win.
Right, he should win.
I really enjoyed the film.
Yes, I thought it was an excellent film. I actually kind of want to see it again to pick up on things I might have missed the first time. It was cool to see the jail. What the heck's they call it?
The raft.
The raft. That was really cool. I liked where it left us, where we have the good Avengers, or not good Avengers, but the
official Avengers.
The official Avengers, and then we got the secret Avengers now.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Because at the end, T'Challa realizes or finds out it's not Bucky's fault.
Right.
And so he actually joins Cap's side, essentially.
Right, and he actually takes the Winter Soldier and puts him back on ice in Wakanda, which is interesting. And then we're guessing that he's going to be part of Cap's team.
Yeah, because he's backing them, because Cap's
Right.
there. So
Right.
like he's now backing Cap's team, and also when they break everybody out of the raft, which I don't think they had to do this movie, I will say that.
No.
There's a scene, so like in the fight scene, the airplane scene, the airport scene, which I haven't talked about much, this amazing battle between everybody. Now, there's only 12 characters. Some people complained like Civil War had like the universes split. But like you had to do a lot of work to get all this fight working.
Right, but in the comic books, it was a Mutant Registration Act to apply to every superpowered being. This only applied to the Avengers. This would apply to them being under government control. So that's why it only applied to those characters.
Right, and it kept it though very, very small. But there's a lot of fighting that happens between and a lot of different interactions that are just terrific. Seeing Spider-Man take on Captain America, that was, I think, of all of the fights in that movie, was so fun.
And actually earning Captain America's respect.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because so at one point, I think Cap like drops a jetway on Spider-Man. Again, he's a kid. He looks like Spider-Man. He looks like a little guy. He's holding up this jetway over his head. And then I think, who asks who at first? Do you remember if Cap asks, "Where are you from, kid?" Oh, you got hard, kid. You got hard, kid. Where are you from? And he goes, "Queens." And then Cap says, "Brooklyn." And then it walks away.
It was awesome.
And it's
awesome.
just
such a good scene.
It's perfect because Cap is not trying to hurt this guy. He knows the limitations of Spider-Man. He also knows he's kind of incapacitated because he's holding this thing up. Now he can't do anything.
Right.
Because he's testing him to the limit. Although I'm hoping that Captain America didn't think it was going to kill him.
No. I don't think so.
Right. But he's also a soldier, so like that's the other thing. Captain America will kill.
Yes.
Because that's
war.
Have you seen him with guns? Because that's what he does. And I don't feel bad about that at all. Because Captain America's a Boy Scout when it comes to his idealism, not with the methodology. Because sometimes war is necessary.
Right.
And this is getting really big now.
Yeah.
But the airport scene was phenomenal. What'd you think of Giant Man?
I love Paul Rudd. I love Ant-Man. And they had to, at some point, they had to go to the other side of the character and create Giant Man. And it made complete sense why he would be Giant Man, to try and, distract them while Cap and Winter Soldier were able to get away. And like I said, he's funny. He gave a lot of comic relief.
He was very funny.
And, I thought it was good. And that's the other thing. That's the difference between the Marvel movies.
We got that. We'll get that in 1 minute. Okay, 1 minute. We'll get the 5 minute mark, and we'll get there.
Okay.
When we get to 25 minutes on this recording, which is not going to be 25 minutes on the actual video.
All right.
We got a couple seconds before we get to that. Really like the fight. Giant Man, I got spoiled that by accident because I was at a toy store and I saw Giant Man Funko.
I loved it.
And I wanted to surprise him, like, oh, but that makes sense. I can't wait to see that.
Yep.
Seeing Ant-Man on the arrow of Hawkeye, I'm like, yeah, that's the comic
really
book.
Cool. That was really cool.
Not really
Arrow guy.
Not really sure why.
Arrow guy.
That's what he calls him. I'm not really sure why exactly Hawkeye's on Cap's side, but what I'm cool with
I think it's just because he's a soldier.
And
Cap called him.
But yeah, and also he believes.
What I also didn't understand is, I didn't understand why Scarlet Witch was on the other side.
Well, I think she just knew that she was dangerous, and that was her issue. And she thinks that the Accords might help her be brought back into society, essentially, because she was being locked down.
Right.
So anyway, I think it's time. So 25 minutes. So we got 5 minutes here. We're gonna compare this to the DC universe.
Okay.
This is the only time we're gonna talk about Batman versus Superman.
Okay.
So this is now. If you don't want to watch or listen about Batman Superman, go.
Okay, I gotta say something. Right off the bat, within 5 minutes into the movie, I had already laughed twice when I watched Civil War, which I didn't do the entire time I was watching Batman v Superman.
I did laugh twice or 3 times at the Batman Superman movie, but like there was the end. They packed the jokes in at the end.
Yeah.
And the jokes, 3 of them.
Yeah.
No clear motivation in Batman v Superman.
Even though the subject matter was the same, government oversight, too many people, collateral damage, and I had the same problem with that. People always talk about all the people that died when Superman was battling Zod. How many people would have died if he wasn't there? The whole world would have been done, but no one ever talks about that.
Nobody reveres Superman for saving the planet. Although there's a big freaking statue to him, but everybody still hates him. So I don't get that idea.
It just doesn't play out. It doesn't make sense.
But in the Captain America universe, this fight, it's logical.
Yeah.
Why are you fighting? This is why.
Yeah.
Why are you really angry and going to kill Bucky? He killed my parents.
Right.
But Bucky, why would Cap save Bucky? Well, Bucky wasn't all there. He was being
and he was his best friend and his one link to his youth. It's the only person he really knows.
Because in the movie, Agent Carter dies.
Agent Carter dies.
So he's completely isolated. So why are you fighting? Reasons. Other movie, poor reasoning, really bad reasoning. And the movies are about the same amount of time, 2.5 hours each.
Yeah.
And they had a hard time.
And actually, the chemistry between Captain America and Sharon Carter was better than between Superman and Lois Lane.
Arguably, that's true. The chemistry is much better there because Cap. There's a scene where Cap kisses Sharon Carter,
which is funny.
And
when
all
he looks
the guys
back to
in the car, and they're like, "Yeah." And there was this it's got heart. This movie's got a lot of heart. The DC movies don't have any heart, and that's a real problem.
Well, it's also the characters just. They have much more dimensions to them. Whereas Superman, his personality is just...
What personality?
Exactly.
That's the biggest problem with that. Cap's a Boy Scout. And a friend of mine was talking to me about this. He goes, I don't like Cap because he's such a Boy Scout. I'm like, but I like that because in the world where nobody is, he's the only one.
He's also a throwback, though. He grew up in a time where men were more like that, apparently.
Yeah, pro-America. It's in the 40s, right? You're growing up in this world where, you got a lot of patriotism before all the cynicism.
Right.
And DC is like, no, cynicism is the way to go, and there should be somebody in that world, because there's no character, not a single one. Not Lois Lane, not Batman, not Wonder Woman. Maybe Wonder Woman. She's kind of...
Maybe, because she's also like a person out of time.
She also left the planet for 100 years, or left Earth.
Right, but, I mean, as far as the comic books go, Superman is supposed to be that guy. And he's supposed to be the pro-America sport, He's
like a hero.
Just a hero.
He's supposed to be a hero. A guy who does better than the man could. That's the idea.
Right.
But the thing is, people think that's not going to work. That's not going to fly. No pun intended. But the thing is, Captain America shows you that it works.
It does work. Yes.
It just means you got to surround him with people who go, that's not going to work. He goes, I know you think it's not the way to go, but I'm from a farm, or I'm from Brooklyn, and I care.
Yep.
This
is how I was brought up. This is, this is how my parents taught me. This is what I went for.
That's all it takes.
Yep.
Versus the Batman who's like, my parents told me if something doesn't make sense, you got to make it make sense, or something like that.
Right.
The world doesn't make sense, you make it make sense.
Right.
And that's why he becomes the Batman, which makes no sense. I mean, forcing everybody.
Yeah. The motivations were off in Batman v Superman.
Yeah. So in the direct comparison between these two movies, if you have 2.5 hours to waste, Captain America all the way.
Absolutely.
I think, because as fun, there's some really good fight scenes, I will say, in Batman v Superman.
Oh, absolutely.
And they have a lot of these things.
Yeah. Larger than life, too, because obviously the powers are larger than life.
Yeah, so the fight's got to be much bigger. But I think somebody described this. Captain America fights are like on the ground.
Yeah.
He's fighting with his fists, and he doesn't have anywhere to go. He doesn't
feel like
fly.
you're in that. And also, obviously, Winter Soldier fights the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Black Panther is always hand-to-hand. Spider-Man is very
He starts going up,
hand-to-hand.
but he's fun because he brings you up and down.
He brings you up and down. I mean, it's well done.
Giant Man's on the ground. Ant-Man's like in the air, essentially, because being thrown around.
Yeah.
Hawkeye's on the ground. It's just here. The fight's...
Yep.
You can feel the fight. It's cut right.
Yep, Scarlett Johansson, obviously.
On the ground.
On the ground, right, doing all the crazy flipping, grabbing your neck moves.
Yeah, so like when you're watching a movie about three gods or two gods and Batman, it's not exactly like, oh, I really feel like something's going to happen here.
Yeah.
And yes, nobody's died in the Marvel Universe yet, right? I mean, War Machine gets pretty hurt.
Yeah.
But he doesn't
Paralyzed,
die.
But he doesn't die.
And they'll fix that.
And a lot of people said that someone should have died in this movie. I don't know about that.
They hinted at killing Cap in this a couple of times. I didn't like that. I'll do because I'm the least likely to die. I'm like, oh, no, don't say that.
No.
Because in Civil War, he does die in the book.
Yes.
And I don't like that.
No.
I think, okay, we've done our 5 minutes there. That's all we're going to talk about with that.
Yes.
Maybe we'll talk about it off air, but not on the show because I'll beat this to death.
Yeah.
So we should thank everybody who's been supporting us at Patreon, patreon.com/IAZ. I'm going to keep that as the name because it's easy to spell.
Absolutely.
For me, IYAZ. Right now we're almost at $100. We hit $100 and we'll start a new show, which is the Dinosaur Show. So I'm really excited about that. We're going to thank all our patrons. Their names should be right here.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I know we have a lot more at this level, and I really appreciate that. I think we're up to like 6, which is awesome. So you guys make this show possible. You can watch old episodes of KillingTime.tv. There's a good chance this episode's going up for the last one. So sorry about the misordering.
But it makes sense. You want to do it now because Civil War came out more recently.
I just got a new computer, and I'm really excited to make this work. We do monthly Ask IAZ Anythings. Might do it on Facebook Live because that really worked.
Yeah, that was nice.
And so that's what's going on with us. If you have any questions, I think we have an email address. It'll be here. Let us know, or you can always tweet me. I'm at IAZ. Rob doesn't really tweet much.
No.
So just
tweet him.
Yeah, tweet me and ask him something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's it. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you next time. Like, subscribe, youtube.com/finitecomedy. We have that. Finite Comedy.